Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and this is going to be an interesting show. Just got to wait for Pete to get over here. Boy, he's fired up. We're going to keep him that way because, good Lord and gosh darn, man, it's been crazy out there, and we are going to talk about it because something's got to give. And you know what they say: if it doesn't give, it ultimately breaks. So there is that. You know what, though? It would be kind of funny if I actually put the stream information in here so that Pete could actually join instead of sitting over there cussing at me going, what the hell's the connection to it? Six Stringer, Margot, how you all doing? Blue, Lou, Gary, welcome. Jack Bird, Deidre, 223, good to see y'all. Dirty Rotten Imbecile, Mark B, Miss Mary, y'all jumping in here. Just waiting on Pete because, boy, I got a few things pulled up. We're going to talk about them because it's getting ugly. Cindy Duff, how you doing? Hurry up, Pete. All right, so just waiting on him. I guess while we're passing the time, we might as well take a 1 minute break or so to take a look at the Patriot pup because, of course, you know, she's always part of this channel. And for those who want to see her in the reality, there she is, Patriot pup. Hi, everybody. That is my Patriot Penny, my little one-eyed Lincoln. She is our rescue pup, and she is doing pretty well for being somebody who came from the pound and almost had a dead-end life. So we rescued her. We got her done. All right. Where you at, Pete? Luciano, good to see you. Still got people dribbling on over here. Let me open my D Live up here so I can see that. Sergeant Bob joined us over there on D Live, and who else did just join up over there? You got to use the bifocals. Come on. All right. Oh, we got Ringer 1104, Sergeant Bob. Good to see you guys. Thank you for the diamond. Slanty Chefrobeer. Appreciate that lemon from Josh Cross. And Margot followed. Welcome, Margot, to the wonderful world of D Live. All right. Still waiting on Pete. He's probably still punching a pillow right about now, just so he can be ready to chill out and be ready to go. When my picture is smaller, it clears up. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I don't know what to say about that. It's just one of them things. You got 2 notifications. See, well, that's good. I made a call, told them to make sure C gets twice as much. So, I'm divvying it out. Just still waiting on Mr. Patriot to slide on in here. So, he's coming. Got to quit hitting the pillow, Pete. Just take one of those saws, and looks like my D-Live froze up. That's always funny. Effie loves America. Hello. Frank Morrell, how you doing? Good to see everybody jumping on over here. Getting ready to hang on. Six Stringer, how you doing? Becky Gerard. Hello. Jeff B. Look. Jeff B in the house. And still not getting my D-Live. Just wanted to freeze up and stop playing games. Come on, D-Live. What the hell? All right. Just trying to get that crank back up. Bear with me, folks. Oh, I got motion. It's moving. It's moving. And without further ado or a don't, as I always say, ladies and gentlemen, Pete the Patriot. What's up? Happening? Hot game. Well, I'm back in the Hoosh Cal.
Yes, because
it's totally totally lawless society out here, and we're going to talk about that.
Oh, what a great segue to my show.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how that works? And you know what's funny is that, like we've told people, we don't discuss it beforehand what we're going to do, and it just so happened that you opened up a perfect transition into our lawless society, starting with the whole First Amendment thing. Plays in the dirt. Thank you very, very much. Bail money. Appreciate that. Yeah. Yep. We're all going to need that soon enough.
That's right.
Yeah, I got a few things pulled up, and I wanted to definitely go over them with you because there is something going on, and we need to get a grip, so to speak. And what I did was I pulled up. I got to move something here just so I got too much stuff on the front board. No, wait, don't do that. Just a second.
Take your time.
It's a technical issue, folks. Oh, hey, thanks. Appreciate that. Give you a chance to breathe for a minute.
Hello, Plays in the Dirt. Hey, Margot. Jeff B is here.
Yeah, I noticed that too. All right, where are we at here? Okay.
I'm glad everybody came over.
Yeah, it's awesome. Angela G, how you doing? Raul Duarte Andrade. I'm going to try that name every time I say it. Yes.
Raul Duarte
Gladys,
Andreas Adeo. It just rolls off your tongue.
Yes.
I love it.
Awesome. Luciano, free DVP. Thank you. Yes. All right. So what I brought up here was a U.S. code that people need to start getting familiar with. And I'm going to bury you, Pete. You're going to be tucked underneath the curtains there. What I pulled up, 18 U.S. code, because this one is something that people need to get probably get a copy of it, and they need to keep this puppy in their wallet or in their pocket or something.
I'm getting
what it does is I'm getting it too, but I don't have anything open.
You have a second window or something open?
No.
I don't hear it anymore.
No, I don't have.
All right, continue. Okay, well, I'm sorry.
Maybe
go ahead.
I put it away. Oh no, please, anytime.
Go.
Here's the one that you need to be really specific with. This is section 242 of Title 18 U.S. Code, and it says section 242 of Title 18 makes it a crime for a person acting under color of any law to willfully deprive a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. If you don't remember anything else at all, you've got to remember that.
Yeah.
Because if a law enforcement officer representing the law, wearing a badge and a uniform, attempts to deprive you of freedoms when you have committed no crime, or you haven't even committed a penalty against a statute, a code, or a amendment, that is a crime for that cop to arrest you for it. So it continues. It says the purpose of section 242 under color of law includes acts not only done by federal, state, or local officials within their lawful authority, but also acts done beyond the bounds of that official's law authority. If the acts are done while the official is purporting to or pretending to act in the performance of his or her official duties, persons acting under color of law within the meaning of this statute include police officers, prison guards, and other law enforcement officials, as well as judges, care providers in public health facilities, and others who are acting as public officials. It is not necessary that the crime be motivated by animus towards the race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, or of the victim. The offense is punishable by a range of imprisonment up to a life term or the death penalty, depending upon the circumstances of the crime and the resulting injury, if any. So we're back. Let me know if you've seen anything lately. Pockets too. How you doing? Seen anything lately that might resemble an offense towards that statute, Pete? I mean, I know it's difficult. Just see if you can pull something out of the air and give me a little example.
I don't know what kind of little example you want me to give you. How about arresting people who want to go to church?
I wonder if that one counts.
I wonder.
I come to think of it, I believe there is something that I think you may have heard of this before. I've heard it in passing. It's called the First Frickin' Amendment.
You imagine that.
Yeah. But here's the problem. Conservative Patriot, how you doing? R-rated conservative. Good to see you, brother. I wish you were up here with us. Boy, I bet we'd nail this to the wall. Anyway, the problem here is that people are voluntarily surrendering their rights because they're afraid of the big bad boogeyman. So the first step in recovery. Oh, please, you're giving me the finger.
I'm going to read verbatim the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, ratified 15 December 1791. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, comma, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, semicolon, or abridging the freedom of speech, comma, or of the press, semicolon, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, comma, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Now, right. I read it like that for a reason. Those semicolons and commas are there for a reason.
Right.
The one reason is just saying the prohibiting of the free exercise thereof, which means that I don't care which Congress you belong to, if you belong to a city, a state, a local, or a federal Congress, you can't prohibit my constitutional right to exercise my free religion. So if we take away the federal and the state, that's what I'm telling the local government. That's what they can do with that so-called taking my laws away.
Effie just nailed it straight to the wall right here. Says tyranny flows downhill. Freedom is an uphill battle. Only by willingness to suffer loss can freedom be obtained. Many have already suffered enough loss they are willing to risk arrest at this point.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
You're absolutely right, 100%. But the police who are enforcing these unconstitutional laws are not arresting people. They know that they cannot enforce these unconstitutional laws that these local and state governors and mayors are putting into place. Yet, they do have a duty to carry out their orders. But how many people have you heard of, Alex, so far that's been arrested during all these protests? All these open up the city protests. How many people have been arrested? Or fined or given a ticket for that reason, for that matter?
Well, it just so happens that I might have an answer to that.
Have an answer to
right
that.
Here This young man right here, strapping looking young man right here, was arrested in my state here in Florida
Okay.
for doing the ultimate crime of opening his business during the mandatory lockdown. But guess what?
He was
His
released.
charges were dumped.
That's right.
But here's the thing that makes precedent. You now have case. You now can say everybody can open. And if the police attempt to arrest you, you need to walk out of that place in your handcuffs and a big shit-eating smile on your face because you've got them by the nards, and you will be getting a bank. Because once that judge throws it out, because there is no law that they can put in place that prevents you from your acts of freedom, once that case gets thrown out, you find the nastiest, ugliest lawyer that froths at the mouth and doesn't remember to pull his tie up tight and barely remembers to button his jacket because he's so busy thinking about money. And you say, hey, buddy, how'd you like to split a few bucks with me on this particular dealio here and sue the state? And I guarantee you're going to find a lot of them beating the door down. So fear not, my good lads. This is a phase and they're losing. But the only way they lose is by people like us getting out here and telling you, you've got to quit being afraid of these people. They have no standing other than intimidation and fear. They cannot rule you by those two items alone.
That's exactly what they have. Intimidation.
Once you become not afraid, you just go out and do it. Hashtag go back to work.
Now, what if that guy who got arrested is saying that, you know what, since I can't, and I'm just reverting back to this because this really pissed me off when I read these stories. If that game store owner said, hey, you know what? I opened up my business so a few of my friends or a few people or somebody in the community can have a place inside a building to worship with other people.
That's right.
Right? Because it doesn't necessarily say that you need a building that was built specifically for churches. What are they going to do? And as far as anything else goes, nobody else has ever been arrested or fined for this.
A woman in my county in Florida was arrested but placed in her home with an ankle bracelet for shopping before her test results came back. She was snitched out by Facebook. All right. That is going to get, that is just transition point. And we're going in another direction. Let me tell you something about the snitches. If you are a person that likes to turn in another person to see them go through hell for non-constitutional laws, and you get off on that, you need a swift kick in the ever-loving ass, followed by potentially a busted nose, because that person is a dioc. And I am so sick of hearing these people, turn in your neighbors, turn in your friends, turn in your family. Let's get them to obey.
If you hear anybody talking against the party, neighbors, friends, whatever, you let me know. You come to me, you let me know. I give you a little bit. Don't worry about it. That's exactly what the Gestapo did in the 1930s and 40s to make sure that there wasn't any communists running around in Berlin.
Right.
Okay, so anybody who can sit in a parking lot and get their phone and whatever and take video pictures of people gathering more than 2 or 3 people and turn it in and do all this stuff, and they say that, you know what, I'm afraid I'm going to die from the virus, I need to snitch these people out. Your fears do not trump my rights. Period.
In fact, if you're afraid, stay the hell in your house.
Stay in your house if you're afraid of it. I'm sorry.
You have nothing to do with me. I have nothing to do with you. My life is separate and independent. My choices are my own. They need to let their choices be their own and stay the hell out of other people's business.
That's right.
One of the most beautiful things that I found is that these snitches forgot one little thing. There's a thing called public record. And when you are dealing with the government, anything you say, anything you do becomes public record and can be sought out by Freedom of Information Acts. And it turns out that these snitches, about 900 of them, got all of their personal information put right out there for the public to see.
That would be a shame.
Yeah, it already happened.
I put those people in the same category as the Walmart and Target and Vons and Albertsons employees that are standing outside the door saying, you can't come in because your mask is not on right, or you have to watch your 6 feet distancing, otherwise you can't come in the store. You have to wait here. You have to do this. Hey, listen, shelf stalker, nobody made you Gestapo. Okay?
That's it.
Just remember this. One day this pandemic is going to be over and you will have to face the public that you treated like shit for 3 months. Just remember that. Okay?
Here's an example of a busybody right here.
What happened after World War II? What happened after World War II?
Got their stitches.
You damn Skippy, they did.
Right here, Gladys says a couple of weeks ago I was out whacking on a cactus in my front yard, and a car drove slowly by and stopped and watched me as I stared back. Yeah, I stare back with sign language and finger gestures.
Yeah, they could have accidentally had a tree branch go through their window. Accidentally.
Yeah, I know when you're whacking on a cactus, very strange things can happen. So yeah,
strange things happen.
Owner put a Trump flag on his dock, and I saw that Invader Zim. That was beautiful. Yeah, the owner at a marina, I guess, put a Trump flag. I'll read it. Owner put a Trump flag on his dock, and the people across from his house got. Let's see, it just moved out there across from his house. Complained to the club, and admirals told him that he had to take the flag down. The guy was pissed and went and got his boat wrapped.
Oh,
he got a vinyl wrap on his boat. Okay. Yeah, the whole boat with the Trump 2020 and all that. That was beautiful. Cool. That was cool. Awesome. That's the kind of stuff we need more of, though. People have got to do this kind of thing. Don't put up with the crap from the nosy nannies and the Pissy Pete's and all. I mean, did I say Pissy Pete? I mean, the other Pete, of course. So, yeah, people, come on. But here is another fine example of the direction our country is going in. This man right here opened up his tattoo shop. Oh, that's a mortal sin, and that's a capital offense. Should have gotten the death penalty. But here again, they were just allowed to come in and arrest his ass because he opened up his tattoo shop. But here's the
under what law?
Biggest problem of all. Exactly. But the point is, this will be another one that they've disrupted his life. They've done something unacceptable. It will be thrown out. And, it's when they arrested him, they walked him out. They left his store open. Nobody closed and locked it up for him. They left the door open, left the open sign. And I'm going to tell you, the tattoo shops have some of the most stringent sterilization laws that they have to practice that this world has ever seen. I mean, they come down on tattoo artists very, very hard. So it's one of the cleanest environments that you can find access to. Yeah. But here's the problem. When they walked his ass away and left his store open and, left the open sign up, who the hell went in that store? What did they mess with? Is he potentially going to have to replace all of his needles all of his diets, because what if somebody went in there and pawed at the stuff? So they could have cost him thousands, many thousands of dollars worth of equipment loss, because the people didn't close the place down and prevent access after they made him leave.
Right.
So this is the kind of garbage that I'm talking about. When I asked the question on this video, has the country become lawless? Everywhere I look, I'm starting to say, yep. But
now I have a question.
Yep.
I have a question. My question is, when they arrested him, did they do their mandatory by state law bullcrap that they have to stay 6 feet away from each other?
Hell no, they were shoulder to shoulder,
close and personal, and handcuffed the guy, and then put him in the back of a police car that's only 2 feet away from the front person.
Right.
So it's okay for them to violate the law that doesn't exist.
How often are you seeing the police come to confront these big old bad criminals, and there's usually 3 to 5 of them standing a couple of feet apart with no PPE whatsoever, personal protective equipment? They come in there, no mask, no gloves, no nothing.
You know
and
why?
They harass a person that is isolated. They become a crowd around this person and make him non-isolated.
You know exactly why. It's because
it's all bullshit.
It's not about isolation. It's not about none of this stuff. It's not about COVID-19. It's not about flu. It's about control. This is about control.
Super chat. Appreciate that. It was awesome. I didn't see it slip up there. I must have been involved reading something. But yeah, it's a control trip, and it's poking the bear. It's trying to see what's going to happen, because part of their end goal with this is they need a riot in the street. They need chaos, because once they can create chaos, they can swoop in and be the great saviors and save everybody from the chaos. So they do their own circle jerk. They create an event, they create the chaos, and then they swoop in for the great savior. It's amazing how easily they manipulate people, and at some point it's going to have to stop. But here's another. This is one of these laws that people don't think about, that I want to pull up right here, that I went ahead and pulled up earlier. And this is the Legal Information Institute. This is another one of the codes under 18, and it's number 241, Conspiracy Against Rights.
Yeah.
It says here, if 2 or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise of enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to him by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his having exercised the same, or if 2 or more persons go in disguise on the highway or on the premises of another with intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege so secured. I want to stop right there. When you are passing an unmarked police car on the highway, and then all of a sudden you end up with said unmarked police car driving up your ass with a bunch of fancy lights that are all buried under the grill and hidden behind the windshield and everything, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a conspiracy to entrap you and prevent you from exercising your constitutional rights. That is illegal.
Okay. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Wow. All right. Anyway, continue. Oh, please do.
Yes,
that'll allow me to breathe.
I want to make a comment on what Becky Gerard said. Why can't President Trump stop this? Absolutely 100%. The President of the United States can put a cease and desist on all of this, on all of it. He has unfettered access to the United States Marines that he can command to go in there and take over the governments of all 50 states and all territories, including Puerto Rico and everything else. But when somebody is shooting themselves in the foot, when your enemy is destroying itself, you don't get in the way. You do not get in the way. You let them destroy themselves, and you let the people see. When you give them an inch, they're taking a mile. And then what happens is you get them at the ballot box. Because not even the Democrats are putting up with this stuff.
Right.
Okay, they're not even putting up with this stuff. Never get in the way.
Well, let me finish.
Destroying yourself.
Exactly. All right, so it says here on the final part of this, it says, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both. And if death results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or attempted to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse or attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years for life or both, or may be sentenced to death. So the point is, under Code 18 of USC, US Code 18, they're serious as hell about you having your rights. And when your rights are impeded under color of law, then you can sue the crap out of them. So people just don't know these things, and it's so frustrating because that's not by accident. They absolutely want this stuff buried. They want it hard to find. They want it hard to get out. They don't want people to be able to look it up, because if you know your rights, you become a threat to the establishment.
Absolutely.
And,
that is 100% correct. That's why they do not teach the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, or anything else in school anymore. It's not part of the Common Core curriculum. The same reason why they don't teach cursive handwriting is because if
that's so we can write as code.
Documents, you're a threat. You're a threat if you know the founding documents.
But it's also so we can write in code to each other, and our kids won't have a clue what we're writing to each other.
Yeah, no doubt, huh? Or if you have decent parents that teach them how to write in script.
Right. But what you do is you write a note in cursive to your wife, you slide it across the table and smile, and then you both jump into your stick shift car and haul ass into the woods to go get a little nookie, and the kids won't ever have a clue what you did, and they won't be able to go seek you out because the other car in the driveway is a stick too. So
that's right. That's right.
The world is set up for the senior adults now. Kids
I just happened. I'm pretty sure I have the only car on the block that's a stick shift.
Yeah. Well, here, 223 just nailed it right here. He said, everybody wants to depend on the president. We are his boss. According to the Second Amendment, we all talk about what we need to do, but nobody wants to stand up and do it. Diplomacy is dead.
We're not at that point yet. We're not at the point to where we need to start shooting people yet. And we won't be for a number of years.
Yeah, I will say, though, that display of force that was done up in Michigan inside the State House, that was significant. But the media is already portraying, the media is already portraying those guys as the criminals, even though that the Second Amendment is the law of the land, and impeding the Second Amendment is not an option. It shall not be infringed is pretty crystal clear.
Yes.
So they were doing the right thing. The media is doing the wrong thing. And that goes back to what I just mentioned.
The media is being dismissed on that story. The people who are actually putting that story out correctly are not dismissing the people who were inside the State House that were armed. Even the local law enforcement said that they can't dismiss that because they had that right to be there. They had the right to be there. CNN and MSNBC are the ones who are saying that, an armed right-wing faction of a militia, and they put all those trigger words in there. So don't believe
Right.
that crap for a second. The law enforcement in Michigan are the ones who even back them. So that's a bunch of crap. But anyway, go ahead.
But here's another example of that last law that I brought up under the 18 code. When you are conspiring to deceive, mislead, threaten, and manipulate, which are every single word describes what the mainstream media is doing to this country right now. So they are, according to the 18 USC, they are breaking the law and they are subject to penalty of that law. The problem is we have got to find the lawyers out here that are willing to take on the big boys and play the game, because unless there is pushback, there's never a change. The quieter people are, the more they get restrictions laid upon them and the more they accept them, because they think, oh, I can't do anything. But the laws are written. People just don't know it, and they're not doing anything about it.
No. And they're not going to volunteer. Just get this right here, right now. The people who write these laws, and they don't want you to know that these laws are on the books, are not going to volunteer the information that these laws exist. You have to go out there as a aware citizen and find them.
Right. One of the things that I really get frustrated about is when a cop pulls you over, they say it's up to you to know the law. Well, bitch, actually it's not. The person that is supposed to be enforcing the law needs to know what the hell they're arresting you for and if it's lawful. The problem is there's two things. As soon as she hacks that lung up, she'll be a lot better. Take your inhaler. Anyway, there's two things. There is legal and there is law. Just because they're calling it legal doesn't mean that it is law. And that's where we get into the stupid new Constitution of 1871, where we've come under maritime law and all this other crap and corporate rules as opposed to laws. They use their rules to enforce tyranny upon you, and they usurp the laws that protect you from that tyranny. So until we can get a grip on the legal versus law, it's going to be very difficult for things to change. But the one way it can start to change is by people getting off their ass and filing civil suits. You don't have to have a lawyer to sue the government. You just have to file some paperwork. It takes some of your time. But if people start doing it, overwhelm your states, your municipalities with an overwhelming amount of lawsuits, and they will stop stepping on people.
Well, that's happening now. Believe it or not, there are more lawsuits now being filed for infringements of rights in states. If you look it up, it's over an overwhelming amount, because people are tired of it doesn't cost anything to file a lawsuit. You can do it yourself.
Right.
And people are doing it against the state governors. And they're being dismissed just as fast as they're being accepted, because they can do that.
But that's half of the problem. They're being allowed to dismiss it and then carry on with their merry little way. That's wrong. Right. It needs to be dismissed, and it needs to have a lawsuit following it immediately.
Right. But a lot of people,
and I promise you, it's not COVID-19. Yeah, every time we go out in public, my wife has that. She's got a lung issue. She was born with it, but she doesn't have the things that people have in their lungs that absorb and process oxygen. She's only got a fraction of the amount that most people have, about 72%. So she coughs a lot because the lungs are always trying to starve for oxygen. And boy, when we go out into public, she ends up having a cough, and the lines clear up, and we can walk in and out of places. We don't have to deal with crowds. It's really actually kind of nice.
I have a something I need to say here. 223 DMR said, "Don't worry about CNN. Like I said, if we're patriots, we would band together. There's enough of us to run those idiots out of office and shut up CNN. Then what? Then what?"
Well, it's kind of what I was saying about state houses, that people need to occupy the houses. And CNN, you're not going to win that one no matter what, because they have facilities all over the planet. So they just change to a remote location and continue broadcasting. But the state houses, if the people go in massive numbers to the point where the state house is too crowded for the people in the house to function, they can't do their job. They have to listen to the people. So but if you make yourself an annoyance, then you get some attention, and they will take up your issues and negotiate.
But what they're saying is that we need to go in there and take these people out. No, what you need to do before all of that happens is you need to go in there and make them keep the promises that they made to be elected. If they still insist on doing what they want against the will of the people, you do exactly what happened in Missouri, and you occupied the state house until you scared the shit out of them, just like they did. Otherwise, you have chaos. You have complete and total chaos in this country, which is not what this country is about. It is about law and order. It is about following the Constitution. We can't say our rights are being taken away when we're taking away somebody else's in the process. They were duly elected. We have to make sure that they do what they said they were going to do. Otherwise, something will happen like what will happen in Michigan.
Yeah. You can't umpires post.
You can't cure the problem by cutting the head off.
Right.
Until it's the time cut the head off.
Post says, why are the jail cells behind you guys still empty with all the criminal demon rats, etc., running loose? It's a good question, but the reality is the reason they're empty is because these liberal states are releasing all of their criminals so that they can make room for all the law-abiding citizens that they need to intimidate into submission by locking them up in prison. Is that only in Tallahassee, Florida? What, Becky? I'm not sure what the question was for Tallahassee. I mean, I'm over here. I'm actually on the west coast of Florida, up in the Panhandle, so I'm actually two and a half hours from Tallahassee. But anyway, so I wanted to bring up another thing here, because this one is just another fine example of our elected officials thinking they're gods. And you touched on this in yours also. The governor, or the mayor rather, of Chicago is bowing up and trying to intimidate her people into submission, talking down to them, getting her hair did, and doing all the things that we peasants aren't supposed to do. But if you look, she goes out and she finds some guys at the park that are just hanging out, and she is talking nasty to them, just being really berating and just a bitch. I mean, she's just being a bitch. And one of them fires back at her, which I thought was awesome, that he just like, why don't you go home? Well, here's the dealio, yo. That woman has no power except for intimidation. And what did we talk about under 18 USC with intimidation? It's illegal to try to intimidate people. If you don't go home, you're going to die. If you don't go home now, you're going to feel really bad because your mom's going to get sick because of COVID because you chose to be out here running around. No, bullshit. This is going to stop. These tyrannical governors and mayors have to be stopped. And when I talk about lawless, here's another example. Over there in Mississippi, in Jackson, you had a city mayor that totally usurped the state law all by himself, without a law, without an article, without a statute, without anything. He decided to eliminate people's rights to open carry in Jackson, Mississippi. Well, that's a prime example of this place being lawless. The mayors aren't listening to the state laws. The governors aren't listening to federal law. The police aren't listening to the laws of the land when it comes to enforcing crap against humanity. And it's a free-for-all. We are absolutely lawless at this time.
So what do
I
we do?
have one more here.
Okay, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I was going to say, well, what do we do? What do we do when it comes to the point where these people are going to say, you know what, it's time to reopen everything. It's time to do all this, to go back to normal and all this stuff. Do we just let this slide? Do we just tell these people like Lori Lightfoot and Ralph Northam and Gretchen Whitmore and all these people who suppressed our rights, and all of our local law enforcement that says that you couldn't go to church? Do we just let that slide because there's no more COVID-19? That's the question you should be asking yourself.
Well, here's another even bigger question. What I want to know is, when did Bill de Blasio become back in the good graces with the police officers of New York? Wasn't it last year that the police department turned their back on him, but now they're enforcing the tyrannical laws that he puts in place? And I have this as Exhibit A. This is connected to a cop sitting on his head.
Yes.
This man did the ultimate crime of being too close to another person. And for that, he got his ass slammed to the ground and he got his head sat on by a cop.
That's right. So, and that cop that's sitting on his head, right there, if you watch that video, walked up to this dude, slapped him, punched him in the face, knocked him out of his shoes, and then arrested him. Because he was saying why, and this is not the first victim you're looking at, Alex. This is the second victim. The guy with his head between his nuts right there is the second victim. The guy on the floor was walking up to see what the hell the cops were doing to somebody else.
Well, here's where I need to explain something to you folks. There is an actual court case, and there is a precedent for this. A man actually shot and killed a police officer and was arrested, and then they found out it was self-defense, and he was released without prosecution. Just because a person is wearing a badge, if you are breaking no crime, if you are breaking no law, you are a upstanding citizen. I hate citizen. How about upstanding sovereign? You are a decent person, and you get an unprovoked attack by a person with a gun. Yes, cops have guns. They are people. If they come at you aggressively and you fear for your life and you have not provoked that officer in any way, you can stand your ground. You can defend yourself against that aggression.
Yep.
Now, be damn sure that it is an unprovoked attack. If at all possible, you make sure you have shit on video, because you're going to need all the help you can get, because that thin blue line is hard to step over, because even the good cops stand up for the bad cops when it comes to protecting their own, which really pisses me off. And I'm one of the biggest supporters of anybody in the services, any service, military, public service, police, fire, rescue, whatever. But I'm getting really damn tired of all the people going against their Constitution. And even another example of that is a former general from the United States Air Force is trying to coordinate with the intelligence agencies to eliminate the president from being able to use any social media. This is a former flag officer for the military doing this. So these kind of people disgust me. I have no respect for them. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that they should be their un-American asses should be kicked out of this country and sent to somewhere, wherever the hell they want, and revoke their citizenship, because that's how tired I am of getting all these assholes that are breaking the law and trying to destroy this country, trying to keep the American people on pacifiers and shut up in their little corners and all this other crap. I'm just sick of it.
And I have to tell you something, Alex. Not all of the New York City Police Department turn their back on de Blasio. There's a lot of people who are street cops and higher ups in the New York City Police Department and the Port Authority, for that matter, that totally agree with his form of tyranny and are perfectly happy to enforce that form of tyranny. So it's not all of the New York City Police Department, because just like it's not all of Los Angeles Police Department.
Well, did you see the thing on
police department
over there on Patriot Hour with old Mike when it opens the show with right? Anyway, that's Mike, love Mike. He just did something this morning. He showed over there in California that the people are out there protesting the orders of the governor, and they had the cops lining up around the Capitol building, and they were in full riot gear, standing side by side by side, trying to keep the people off of the state property.
Yes.
And a Marine was up there telling them, this isn't acceptable. You're going against your oath. Some of them turned and walked away, which I hope that's what they did. I hope it wasn't just that they were repositioned.
Actually, what's his name? God, I can't remember his name. I was watching his live feed from Sacramento when this was going on. And United America First. I don't remember his name, but
Will Johnson.
Yes, his channel. And
Never heard of him.
Yeah. And he was actually showing that because the police didn't want to be there to begin with. They didn't want to be there. They knew that the people had the right to be on state property. They had the right to be at the State House, and they were enforcing laws, and they were not practicing their social distancing, and they were being told, you are breaking the law. You're violating your oath. If you were in the military or took an oath to protect the Constitution of the United States, and officers were turning away and walking back towards the State House. Not all of them, but some of them were. And that's what shows you is that not everybody believes or agrees just because they wear a uniform. But there's enough of them that do. There's enough of them that they put that badge on and they automatically think, this is it. I have the authority to do whatever I want to do. And it just does not work out that way.
And that reminds me of another situation where we had two cops go visit a lady because she allowed her child to go down the street and play with a friend of hers. And the male that was there was a male and a female cop. The male cop is absolutely talking down to this woman. Do I need to explain this to you? Do you actually understand what social distancing means and all this other shit? I'm sorry. I would have ended the conversation with a, not so friendly dismissal of that prick. But
is there a law? Is there a law in place for that? Is there a law that says that you have to be 6 feet away from me?
Yeah, I don't know. But here's the thing. They wanted this woman's information. They came to her house. This is what's stupid. They were sent to this woman's house. So somebody filed a complaint. They went to the address of this person that they have on the list for that address. They knew her name. They knew her address. They knew all that they needed to know. So everything beyond that was them trying to be intimidators and trying to manipulate you into fear and submission, which goes right back to 18 USC 247.
Yes.
So that is another example. They are conspiring. That's two people conspiring to intimidate another person and make them submit in fear.
Yes.
So People have got to stop allowing this crap. They, as soon as that piece of shit started talking down to me, I mean,
I would have walked away.
I'd have slammed the door, but I wouldn't have slammed the door without addressing his stupidity. Maybe that's where I get in trouble. But if somebody does something stupid,
and walked away and closed the door. Don't even slam it. Just politely close the door. Because they know that they don't have any right to be standing there telling you what they're telling you under the law. They know that. What are they going to do? Come back and get a warrant? They're going to spend thousands of dollars in paperwork and get a judge to sign a warrant because your kid was standing more than 6 feet from another kid? Or less than 6 feet from another kid, and you wanted my information. You're going to spend city resources on that?
Yeah, it's no,
they're going to get in their car and say, "Oh, we got effed on that one." Come on, that's just ridiculous. That is just ridiculous. There is no law that says that I have to stand 6 feet away from somebody. That is a protocol that the government is putting in place because of an emergency situation called the COVID-19. They didn't pass a law. They didn't do any of this stuff. It's just like the stupid cops when they got the call to go down to Huntington Beach and wait for a surfer to come in from the ocean by himself and arrest him for being out during a COVID-19 and violating the space.
Right. I've been neglecting my my DLive because it's been buried behind my articles and stuff. I just want to take a minute and catch up. Steak 59, I would absolutely appreciate it if you do post Pete's channel on DLive, absolutely, or on YouTube, either one. You folks need to get over there onto DLive. It's important. So yeah, get Pete's channel up there, get my channel up there, please. Gladys, thank you so much for the diamond. You are awesome too. And let's see, I had this one buried behind my other image, and that's where I forgot about it for a minute. Trump gave them the rope to hang themselves. Yep, that's true. That's why I got my criminal justice degree, so I could have the knowledge that a lot of people don't know about and don't study. Well, that's Ringer 1114. That's a good thing. Anybody should take the time and recognize what you have as your freedoms and what you don't.
Well, hold on. Anunnaki says it's called the COVID law. What COVID law are you talking about? Where has a all 50 state legislatures got together, or the House of Representatives and the Senate, and it was signed by the president? When have they gotten together, said we're putting the COVID law into play, where you can't stand 6 feet from each other or do this? No, this is a state by state mandate. It is not a law, and don't get the two confused. Don't get the two confused.
It's an edict. It's
there you go.
It's a leader of an organization establishing the ground rules of their corporation. And when it's an edict, you don't have to follow it, because you can't, in this situation, you can't have an employee of yours come into your office and tell you, okay, now this is how I want my business run, or your business. This is how I want your business run. You're going to start doing this today. Doesn't work like that.
No.
In the states, they have a state house and a state senate, just like the federal government has their house and their senate.
Yep.
If a law is to pass, it needs to be brought before the House. It needs to be written up. It goes into committee. The committee decides if they want to go forward. From the committee, it goes to the House floor for a vote. The vote is decided upon. If it passes, it goes to the Senate. The Senate will reevaluate the bill. They will make changes if necessary, or leave it alone. Then they make a vote. If it passes from there, it moves to the governor's desk. If the governor decides that the bill is substantial, he will sign the bill. Otherwise, he will veto the bill, and it goes back for grievance. So there's a process. And just because a governor or a mayor says this is going to happen today, you can say yes, ma'am, yes, sir, and then walk away. So you have a lot more rights than you realize you have. And when people start understanding what their rights are, when you study some of the simpler codes of our protections from unjust laws, then you'll be in a lot more powerful of a position. And, I'm being a little harsh today, but I do need to say this. When a police officer does approach you, a lot of times they don't know the law. So
No,
unless
they
they
don't.
are coming across as a complete ass to you, if they are being civilized and proper manners with you, you need to return that favor. And you can communicate back and forth with the officer at a level playing field. Say, excuse me, sir, under this statute, under the U.S. Code, this particular interaction is not legal. And you can present it to them, and if they continue to go forward, you need to make sure you have their name, their badge number, you need to have the car number, you need to write down notes about the event, record it if possible,
Yeah.
and be prepared to take it to court. Because if he decides, okay, well, you're under arrest, I need you to turn around, then that's when you submit to the arrest and you do what they're going to do. If you're attacked, it's totally different. But in normal, calm circumstances, you go ahead and you go in, you get booked, you do all that, you demand to be seen before a judge. And the last thing is, you can demand that you be seen before a judge immediately. This idea that you have to have a pending court date is actually wrong too, because you are guaranteed a speedy trial.
That's right.
You can say, there's a judge today that's signing warrants, so there's somebody on the bench that will see me today. I want to be seen before the judge today.
And they have to do it.
No, you're right.
They have to do it.
They do.
If
they don't do it, that goes in your note.
That's right. If the judge is on the bench, if there is a judge on any bench in that courthouse, they have the right to be seen by that judge that day. Not
exactly
5-7 days you have to stay in jail and wait or post bail or do all this stuff. You should be seen right then. Just think of the old Western movies. They arrest you in the street, they put you in the hooskow, and then 5 minutes later you're before the judge, and then 10 minutes later you're either been released or you're being hung. That's how the justice system's supposed to work.
That's
you have the right to a speedy trial.
Yep. You also freedom of motion. I believe the what is that? Fifth Amendment.
Yeah.
May not have it in my head, but freedom of mobility. The no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime. Okay, that's the fifth. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, and papers. Well, that one's important. The Fourth Amendment. Yes. The cops can't just come into your house and start harassing you. They sure as hell can't come in your house and take your children, which is another thing they're talking about doing. They can't come in your house and make you take a blood test because you are free in your possessions. Guess what your possession is? Blood.
Yeah.
So they
house.
cannot force this crap. Right.
It says it right there.
Enjoy the right.
Your body
Number
is
6. That's right. In Amendment 6, that's the one where it says, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury. So the word speedy, they can't say, oh, well, that means 7 months. No, it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't give a breakdown. It doesn't specify. So it means right now. And the most important thing is that any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is null and void. That's where we start. And everything else builds from there. But anyhow, so that is an hour, Pete. And I know that's 2 for you. So,
wow.
I think I'm going to go ahead and let that be it. Debbie, appreciate the lemon. Thank you for that.
All right,
Thank
happy
you
night.
to the mods for keeping the house in order. And Pete, you are always a hoot and a joy to have on here.
Thank you
Everybody
very
that
much.
took the hour to hang out with us, thank you guys. And, the last thing I'm just going to say is please, please, God, help you understand the laws so that you can be more powerful in the society that's trying to crumble around us. Don't keep falling for this thing. You want to say anything on the way out, Pete?
No, but just don't leave the chit chat. I need to talk to you before we split. So, but I want to thank everybody. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Thank everybody for being here, for being on my show, and for coming over here and supporting Disabled Vets Perspective on D Live. I appreciate it, and we'll see you in tomorrow.
Yeah, man. All right, y'all stay